What is converse, inverse, and contrapositive? Today I will be telling you the meaning of these three components. But first, we should know what is a conditional statement. Conditional statement. A conditional statement symbolized by PQ is an if-then statement in which P is the hypothesis and Q is the conclusion. The logical connector in a conditional statement is denoted by the symbol. The condition is defined to be true unless a true hypothesis leads to a false conclusion. For my example here, we will identify the hypothesis and the conclusion in the given example below. So, my given example is if it is a 90-degree angle, then it is a right angle. So, what is the hypothesis in that conditional statement? Answer: the hypothesis is if it is a 90-degree angle. What is the conclusion in this given conditional statement? The conclusion is then it is a right angle. Now, what is converse? Converse, it is a converse of a conditional statement, meaning you just have to interchange the hypothesis and conclusion. So the hypothesis now will be the conclusion, while the conclusion now will be the hypothesis. We will follow the example as shown below. My example is, my given conditional statement is, if it is a 90-degree angle, then it is a right angle. So, what is the converse of it? Here is the answer. If it is a right angle, then it is a 90-degree angle. So, what is the lesson in this? You just have to interchange them. Now, we will go to the second component. What is inverse? Inverse, you just have to negate the hypothesis and the conclusion. We follow the given example below. My original conditional statement is if it is a 90-degree angle, then it is a right angle. So, what is the answer or the inverse? Here. Inverse is if it isn't a 90-degree angle, then it isn't a right angle. So what's the lesson in this? You just have to negate the hypothesis and the conclusion in the given conditional statement. Now we will go to our third and final component. What is now a contrapositive? A contrapositive is a converse and inverse of a given conditional statement, meaning you first have to interchange the hypothesis and conclusion, then you will have to negate the statement after. So we follow the given example below. My original conditional statement is if it's a 90-degree angle, then it is a right angle. So what is the contrapositive of this? Here it is. If it isn't a right angle, then it isn't a 90-degree angle. So the lesson of this, we interchange first the hypothesis and the conclusion. Then after that, you negate the hypothesis and conclusion afterwards. Conclusion. Since a conditional statement and it's contrapositive or logically equivalent, we can use this to our advantage when we are proving mathematical theorems. Rather than prove the truth of a conditional statement directly, we can instead use the indirect proof strategy of proving the truth of that statement's contrapositive. Contrapositive proofs work because if the contrapositive is true, due to logical equivalence, the original conditional statement is also true. It turns out that even though the converse and inverse are not logically equivalent to the original conditional statement, they are logically equivalent to one another. There is an easy explanation for this. We start with the conditional statement if Q then P. The contrapositive of this statement is if not P then not Q. Since the inverse is the contrapositive of the converse and inverse are logically equivalent. Thanks for watching.